Hey guys, welcome to today's video. This is actually from my portrait drawing anatomy course that is on the link in the description below. It consists of 14 videos in total. It's 9 full-length demos, a bunch of lectures, and at the end there's a long format drawing demo using everything that we learned in the course, starting from the skull, going through the muscles and the fat pads. And also I have videos on each feature, so eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. So please check that out, and the video that you're about to see is actually from that course. I also got a couple of updates. I'm moving to Austin, Texas within probably the next month. So actually next week I'll be flying over and trying to find an apartment. And I'm trying to decide between the north side or the south side of Austin. So if you have any input, I greatly appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. Just leave a comment, whether north side, south side, east side, west side, whatever whatever side that you think is best. Give me some insight, give me some help. I greatly appreciate it. The other good news is, for the first time I have a sponsor for the show. I found a product that I actually really like, and this one is called 𝔻𝕣𝕒𝕨 Coffee. So today's episode is brought to you by 𝔻𝕣𝕒 Coffee, expertly crafted from fermented and sun-dried red coffee cherries. Go to 𝔻𝕣𝕒coffee.com and use the promo code BRADMONEY70 to get 70% off of your first bag of 𝔻𝕣𝕒 Coffee. So like I was saying, this is a test run for 𝔻𝕣𝕒 Coffee and myself, and hopefully this collab works out. And so check it out, guys, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this video. And again, check out the anatomy course that I have up or down in the description below. Hit those links, check it out, see if you like it, and I'll see you on the next one. I know I drink too much coffee, but what are you gonna do? Okay, so we're gonna go over the basics of the eye. And to start off, let's talk about the eyeball. So I'm gonna just sketch out just a circle for the eyeball. And now I'm going to sketch in the iris. And if we had a light source above us, right about here, and then we'll have this nice core shadow that runs along the sphere of the eyeball. And then we'll have a shadow side. And so we're going to take out that core shadow from the iris itself, because the iris is going to be shaped concaved, and it's going to be similar in shape to a satellite dish. So the iris is going to be shaped kind of like if we had a satellite dish sitting over here. Maybe something like that. And this is the rim of the satellite dish. And again, we have the light source, let's say over here, and it's going to cast a shadow on the inside of that satellite dish, like so. And the same thing is going to happen as the light comes down and hits our iris. It's going to cast a shadow on the inside of that concaved structure, just like the satellite dish. Now I'm going to go ahead and just darken up these lines for the eyeball itself and the core shadow on it. So again, what we have here is we have one form, which is the eyeball, a nice sphere, and then the lighting that it's hitting the highlight up here and it's causing this core shadow along, and then the dark side. And then also we have the shape of the iris, and it's concave just like a satellite dish, and it's going to react differently to that same kind of light source scenario, where it's going to cast this shadow on this side of that satellite dish, just like right here. And now I'm going to come in and sketch in the pupil. All right, so now we have the pupil. And the interesting thing about the eyeball, not just with the concave shape of the iris, but there's also a lens that sits on top. So if we look at our satellite dish here and just imagine that it had a glass cover, like a dome, like a glass dome that covered it, that light would come down and strike a highlight on top of that glass dome. And the same thing is happening here, where if I'm going to take my my pen eraser and come down and pull out this tone for a highlight right on top of the lens. So we get this really strong highlight right on top of the lens of the eye. So we have three different kind of highlights. We have one that's on the ball itself, and then we have one that's on the opposite side of that concave iris, which would be right down here, and then we have the one that's hitting on top of the glass dome of the lens of the eye. So I'll just make this a little bit stronger in value and bring it up to like a more rendered drawing. And now I'll just come in here and just, I don't know, just play around with the little details in the iris, create some of that patterning that you see inside the iris. And just try to have fun with it a little bit here. But you can see how thinking about the different ways the light is handled with each kind of form of the eye can really make a three-dimensional eye pop off the page, especially with that lightest light and the darkest dark right next to each other. That's really going to make it pop. And some people, they have their limbus, which is the edge of the iris, is really dark compared to the lighter eye on the inside. If they have like blue eyes, like my sister, she has really light eyes, but the edges are so dark, and her eyes really stand out. When you're like talking to her, you're just like, whoa. And we can come in here and just pull out some of that value, just really kind of make that pop even more. So again, with the iris, a good way to think of the iris is as if it was a satellite dish, and a satellite dish with a glass dome on top. And you'll quickly see how the light will reflect off that glass dome. And more importantly, or just as important I should say, is how the shadow is casted on the inside of that iris. So you'll get this highlight inside the iris down here, whereas the light source is on the opposite side. The highlight on the lens is on the opposite side, and the highlight on the ball itself is on the opposite side of the highlight from the iris. Okay, so some of the anatomy names. So the white of the eye itself, the eyeball, is called the sclera. Then we have the iris, the rim of the iris is the limbus. And then the iris itself, and then the pupil. And typically the pupil will be the darkest dark in the portrait, and I'll often use that to kind of set the tone for the drawing and use that as a reference to base the rest of my darks off of, knowing that this one will be the darkest dark. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the eyelids a little bit more, and I like to think of the eyelids like kind of like an orange. So like a really nice orange that has like a really nice thick peel. Maybe we got like a leaf or something. But this orange has got a really nice thick peel on him. And I cut into it kind of like a football shape, and looking at it from a profile kind of perspective, we'll see the meat of the fruit on the inside. And then what's going to happen is that it's going to leave like a little ledge, and you'll see the thickness of that skin of the orange. And it kind of wraps around the inside meat of that fruit. So let me just clean this up a little bit. So you want to kind of look for, when you're drawing portraits, look for that little thickness of the eyelid. Look for that ledge. So if we had a line that was running straight down over the top, then we come into the bottom plane and then go over the top of the eyeball and then hit that top plane of the eyelid and then continue down the face. So you want to try to look for that opportunity to show the thickness of the eyelids. So if we came over here and did an example, let's see, of an eye in profile. So maybe the bridge of the nose would be about right here, the forehead, just do like a S curve. And let's see, so we have, this is our eyeball, and this will be the shape of our upper eyelid and the bottom. And we want to show that eyelid wrapping around the eyeball, and kind of creates this little hood for the upper eyelid. I'm going to exaggerate that a little bit, but I want to show that wrapping around the ball of the eye. You can do that a little bit with the bottom eyelid as well. And maybe you can see just a little bit of that bottom plane of the upper eyelid. And also on the lower eyelid, you can see the top plane. Let's see, maybe some eyelashes. And then we were talking about that glass dome earlier over the top of the iris. In profile, you'll see that the shape, it protrudes out a little bit. It's not that perfect circle. It actually kind of peaks a a little bit where that lens sits on top of the iris. And then we have the pupil about right there. Let's see, the eyebrows probably be about right here. Comes up, comes down. It's got this nice little rhythm right here. But it's really important to show that three-dimensional structure of the eyelids in relationship to how it's turning around, kind of wrapping around the eyeball. And let's put in a little bit of a cast shadow maybe coming off the upper eyelid. So again, you want to think about a line going down the head. So if we had a line coming down, it would come over here, then come across the top plane of the eyelid, and then turn a corner for the underside plane, and then roll around the top portion of the eyeball, then hit the bottom plane, come across, and then down, and then over the face. And then finally we'll do a kind of a front view of the eye. So we have the inside corner here, the outside over here. So the bridge of the nose would be somewhere over here. And I'm going to have it looking over here because I want to get into that corner so I can show you the semilunar fold and the lacrimal caruncle. But definitely that I want to get that semilunar fold because sometimes you see it, but it can be hard to see. And when you see it, you're like, "What is that?" And it's kind of confusing sometimes. So let me just sketch this eye in a very kind of off to the side perspective. And again, I'm trying to get that underside plane of the upper eyelid to show. Something like that. And then we have the upper eyelid, creates like that hood covering the eyeball. And then that caruncle sits right here. Then that semilunar fold would be right here. So it's like this piece of skin that sort of wraps around the eyeball in that corner. And you can really see it when the eye is in extreme perspective, or it's like looking in one direction, the opposite direction of the caruncle. And that really just sort of pops out on you. Let's draw the bottom plane or the bottom eyelid. We have the top plane of the bottom eyelid, and then we have to do the underside. Let's do the iris. Let's see. Let's make it right about here. Right into just jammed into the corner of the eye pretty much. And then the pupil. I'm going to put that big old highlight right there. And again, Let's see, in this way, I guess the light source would be about right here. And thinking about that iris being concave, we're going to get the highlight on the opposite side of the light source. So the light is here. It's going to create a shadow on this portion of the iris, and then this side will catch that light. And then of course our pupil is the darkest dark again. And then we have the limbus, the edge of the iris. Darken that up. And let's see, let's put a little bit of a cast shadow from the upper eyelid. And you can just fill in all that space with value. Let's see, the upper eyelid, let's let it catch some highlight, maybe about right there. And then the underside of the bottom eyelid, underside plane. I'm just going to build up some value, kind of similar to what we did over here in the eyeball. Just to show that form turning a little bit. So again, we have like this nice line that comes off the top, runs across the top plane of the eyelid, turns that corner underneath the plane change, and then curves over the eyeball, top plane, and then down again and over the face. Let's see, I should probably put some eyelashes on him. So that's pretty much it. Let's label this guy here. So it's carbuncle, but it's technically a lacrimal carbuncle. Lacrimal just means tear, and the carbuncle means like a small piece of skin. And then right here we have the semi-lunar fold. And then again we have the pupil. This would be the pupil. Then we have the iris. Then we have the limbus, which is the rim of the iris. And then the 𝔻𝕠𝕒𝕒𝕒, which is the white of the eye. Put some texture for the orange. This is an orange, just in case anybody has any questions. Kind of looks like an alien of some sort. All right, that's pretty much it for the basic construction of the eye and how to handle the lighting source and the three different kinds of highlights. The one on the ball, the one on the lens, and one on the inside of the iris. So give it a try, sketch these out for yourself, maybe look at some references, and it'll be a really good study. And when you move on to the portraits, you'll be ready to rock and roll. Thanks, guys.